You're very welcome back. Now, for 39 days, our next guest battled dust clouds and 40-foot waves as he and his team raced across the 5,000-kilometre-wide Atlantic Ocean to raise money in memory of his 13-year-old daughter, Saoirse, who sadly passed away last year.
Joining us from Antigua is captain of the team that came third in what's called the world's toughest row, John O'Driscoll. Before we chat to John, and we really do appreciate him joining us today, let's take a look at himself and his team, the Power of One, in action. Amazing scenes. John, good morning. Thank you so much for joining us. And before we talk about what you've just completed, can we please talk a little bit about your daughter, Saoirse, who you did this in memory of? She had a complex congenital heart disease when she was born and she died last year. Can you tell us a bit about her?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to sound like most very proud dads now and talk about Saoirse. What an amazing young lady, a little girl. Unfortunately, we found out that pregnancy that Saoirse had a severe heart condition, and I suppose it was our first introduction to parenthood. And it turned out to be a very difficult journey, but at the same time, an extremely rewarding journey to have Saoirse as a little girl. You know, she was a little girl that's kind of driven me to do these things in my life. She's my inspiration for taking on this role and completing this challenge. She was a very happy-go-lucky little child. Participated in most ways up to a certain age in activities and sports, like did dance and things like that. And as she got older, her heart condition deteriorated and got a bit worse. So she was unable to do the things she wanted to do, but she always found the good side in life. She always looked at the positive part of life and remained positive the whole way through until she passed away in April last year.
It's amazing. I know that you did the challenge, the Dublin City Marathon together. You pushed her around in her wheelchair as well. What was it, though, about this row that made you want to do that in memory of her?
Yeah, I read a book about the row across the Atlantic Ocean, and in some way I felt there was a kind of a synergy between the vastness of the sea and the difficulty of the crossing. It kind of reminded me about Saoirse's condition in some ways, and most of the kids with CHD. There's so many unknowns in respect to CHD because there's so many variations of the condition, and Saoirse's life was very complicated from that perspective. We always knew that there was there was a question over the longevity of Saoirse's life, and we always knew that there was always questions about the path we would take in relation to our medical care and attention. And the role, in some ways, seemed to me it was going to be arduous. It was going to be difficult. There was going to be so many unknowns. I thought there was kind of some simulation there with that role. Although the road took 39 days and Saoirse's life was only 13 years, I felt that I could better understand maybe some of the hardships that she went through as while she battled her condition. And in addition to that, I always referred to Saoirse as my superhero, and there's a little part of me that wanted to do something really epic, that maybe she looked at me and said, "Oh, my dad is my superhero." So I thought it was also a good thing for my kids to see that if you put your mind into an activity and you focus and work hard, no matter how hard it is, you'll achieve your goal, So I thought it was a good mindset as well to give our kids,
And John, we're just heartbroken for you and your wife, Aoife, your son, Muireann, to have to go through this and lose Saoirse. But you have so far raised €420,000 for Heart Children and Crumlin Children's Health Foundation. People can still donate to this. That's a huge amount because you've taken on this row. You're not a rower. The other fellas in your team, none of them are rowers. And this is called the world's toughest row. And you
Yeah.
came third. Tell us about it and the
Yeah.
training and how you did it.
Yeah, the team like was amazing. You know, I had Jarrett Kelly, Enda McNicholas, Roger McMorrow, and Conor McCarthy, and we set out doing this challenge with the mindset, obviously, to raise money for charity. And I suppose we one of the things we promised ourselves early on is that we would do the best role we possibly could. We would turn up and give our best versions of ourselves. Little did we know that would end up in third place, because there was kind of no measurement stick we could measure against, you know, to say how hard is this going to be. And when we got out there in the ocean and we started working hard, we were reminded, I suppose, from home 2 weeks in, you're in the top four. Maybe we started thinking to ourselves, maybe there's an opportunity here to secure a potential podium place. And we continued to work hard across the trip, facing, as Tommy said, sandstorms from the African coast, violent squalls, slack waters, and it was a very, very difficult crossing. And this year in particular, one of the guy that won it, he has crossed the Atlantic Ocean 4 times, rowed it 4 times, and crossed it 24 times, I believe, in a sailboat. And he said it's probably the most difficult crossing he's ever had. So, we were really tested on this particular row.
I love that. There's 5 Irish lads setting out on a rowing boat who've never rowed before, and the world's toughest row, and you go, sure, how hard can it be?
Sure, Beckett.
Yeah.
I mean,
there's an element of this that is really, it's you're either very, very brave or maybe very ill-advised before you set out and doing something like this. So, it was good to, get on the process, start doing the learning that we had to do. But as I said, all the training that had to be done, we were still very much novices when we went out there in the open ocean. It was a very difficult challenge, and we faced things that we could not have faced in the Irish Sea, and you wouldn't have been aware of them unless you had done a crossing previously. So it was a very challenging crossing from so many respects. Like in our particular class of 5, there was only 2 boats in that class. It really is unheard of to be on a podium place against a class of 4 boats, because they're lighter. It's easier to work with smaller crew members. So to get a podium place, we definitely believe that Saoirse was the 6th member of our crew there to help us guide the waters and come through the arduous task of getting 5,000 kilometres across the ocean.
It's fantastic. Come here, how was that shower? Was it amazing? Did you look at the other 5 guys and go, I never want to see ye again?
I was actually just looking at the video there as you were playing it, and we looked a lot better before we started. We're small bit emaciated when we got off the boat. I lost, probably myself, I think I lost 13 or 14 kilos on the row, probably most of which was in the first week. I was extremely sick, but we all lost a lot of weight. You have a lot of muscle wastage on the row because you're not walking about. And so areas where you're not using your muscles, they just deteriorate and waste away. And you get a lot of sores on your hands from sitting down on your backside and your feet. And a lot of sores on the row. And
Tommy was thinking about it until you said that, and he's like, you know what, I'm not getting sores in my bum. I'm not going to do it.
Listen, it's absolutely incredible. You have raised €420,000 for Heart Children Ireland Children's Heart Centre Crumlin. If people do want to donate, check out teampowerofone.ie. And I just love this bit. I know your wife said, you started the journey with her. I'd like you to finish it for her, John. And I think that's just incredible. So congratulations on everything that you and your team have done. Well done.